What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Tasker's Barbecue Supply. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than normal. We're going to be making a steak cake. That's right, we're making a steak cake today. Alright, so before we get started, remember, as always, smash the subscribe button down in the bottom corner so you can keep adding to our subscriber count. We will drop a link for our Patreon account down below, and let's get rolling into the video. Alright everyone, to get started on our steak cake, this is going to be a 3-tiered meat cake with potatoes for icing, and then we're going to do a little something special to garnish it. So our first 2 layers are going to be ribeye steaks. The base layer is going to be 2 ribeyes back to back. The second layer is going to be 1 thick cut ribeye in the center, and then the top will be a filet mignon. Now obviously the filet mignon, we really don't have to do anything with it because it's pretty well trimmed up and ready to go as is. But these ribeyes, we're just going to trim up just a little bit, make them nice and pretty. Get these 2 here separated, get some seasoning on them, and let them start to sit. These are a very thick cut, so we want to get some seasoning on them, let them set for a few minutes, and start getting some of that seasoning down into the meat. We're going to be grilling up all these on our Napoleon Prestige Pro, and then we're going to be doing our garnish on the smoker. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we'll go ahead and separate these 2 steaks here. And we're going to do a little trim work. They don't need much, really. This one just needs a little bit along the side here. We're just trying to get any excess fat off, any gristle, anything like that that we don't really want. Trim a little bit off the top here to even that up. And you want to try to get these steaks as even as possible because obviously they're going to be the base of your cake, so you want to make sure that they're both pretty close in size, that they're somewhat even across here, and you want to try to keep them that way while they're cooking because obviously if you get this base off really bad, it's going to lean the whole cake to one side or the other. So try to trim this one here. It doesn't need much either. Go ahead and trim these tails off a little bit here. Just make it a little bit easier. Yeah, that looks pretty good. There we go, 1 steak done. Let's flip this one over here, check it out. Trim that off. That's pretty much it for that one, so that one's good to go. Let's check out our second tier here. This one really, I don't think I'm going to really mess with. It's pretty good the way it is. It's got a nice shape to it. Thickness is good all the way through, and I don't really see anything that we need to trim off of it. So it's pretty well good to go the way it is. And like I said, you can definitely tell that we're dealing with some thick cut steaks this time. So we're going to go ahead and get these seasoned up. We're going to be using a blend of our AP seasoning as a base. That gives us our nice salt, pepper, and garlic. And obviously we can go pretty decently heavy with these. As thick as they are, we're going to need to get a lot of seasoning in these. So we'll put a nice coat all the way on top of all these. Flip them over. Do the same on the other side, and then we will season the edges because of the thickness of these steaks. I want to get the edges, some good seasoning on them as well. right, set these up right here. Let's get some seasoning along this fresh edge. And this last one. All right, now we're going to come behind that with a little bit of Killer Hog Texas brisket rub. And the only reason I'm doing this is it's going to give it a little bit more flavor, especially with some of the herbs that are in this. And it's going to give us a little bit better bark on the outside, a little bit better crunch, because this is a very coarse grind. So we're just going to come behind that and give us a little bit of douse on here. It's going to help with some of the pepper flavor, some of the salt flavor as well, because it's got a real coarse grind to it. So we're just going to press that in. Make sure we get it coated really well. All right, flip those over. Press that in as well. Now, I'm not super worried about getting the Texas brisket rub on the outside edges. That'll be okay with just the AP rub. I just want to get this Texas brisket rub on the main flat sides of our meat here. All right, so again, we've got our very thick one here is going to be our center tier. The two, and when I mean thinner, I'm using that term very loosely because that's still about a 2.5 inch thick cut. They're going to be our base layer, and then we've got a filet mignon over here we're going to save to last because obviously it doesn't need to go on the grill yet. I'll season it up here in just a few minutes after these have set and got their seasoning in. So we'll get these on the grill. We'll give you some close-ups. It's really cold out and it's dark out, so we're not going to do a whole lot of filming outside. We're just going to get some close-ups for you guys. It's just basic steak grilling is the only thing we're doing outside. So we'll let these set, and then you'll get some close-ups here in just a few minutes. So, we promised you guys a special garnish for the steak cake. What we're going to be making is candied bacon. We're going to be using some Walnut Creek thick cut bacon from Amish country. So, let's go ahead and cut this open. Now, first thing we need to do is we're going to put a little bit of pan in the bottom of our cupcake tin. That way we can keep that bacon from sticking too much as it's in the bottom of these tins. Now, the reason I have this tin out is we're going to be making some flower shapes with these bacon, and this cupcake tin holds that very nicely in. I'm just going to put a little bit of the barbecue rub in the bottom of each of these so it has a little bit of flavor on the bottom. Right, and then we're going to take one of our pieces of bacon here. Let's cut that open a little farther. We're just going to roll this up. Make a nice flower shape with it. Now it obviously will expand a little bit as it's cooking out there. That's okay. That's why we have it in the tins, because that will kind of hold it to a round shape. But this is at least going to give us a nice form shape off the bat. And we're just going to go ahead and repeat this process with all the rest of the tins. All right, we have all of our bacon curled up into our flower shapes and in our tins. Now we're just gonna give it a very light mist of Pam over top to give something for the seasoning to stick to. First, we're gonna hit it with a little bit more of the barbecue rub from Killer Hogs. So we'll sprinkle some of that over top of it. Alright, give it a decent little coating. They're all pretty good covered. Now we're going to go behind that with some of my sweet rib rub that I normally do on my ribs. It goes really well on any type of pork, especially pork loin, stuff like that. So it'll go really good on this bacon, especially because it has a lot of sugar in it. So obviously we're making a candied bacon. We definitely want a lot of sugar. All right, now that's all coated up. Now it's time to go ahead and get it into the smoker. Now we're gonna be putting this on our Rectech Bull. We're gonna be doing this with some cooking pellets perfect mix, getting some nice smoke flavor on these and letting them slow cook and letting them kind of bloom into a nice flower shape. So we'll get some video out there. Again, we're not gonna be recording too much out there. It's really cold outside and it's pretty dark out there, so we're not gonna be doing a whole lot of recording. But we will give you some close-up shots of while it's in the smoker. We'll see you back here in just a minute. All right guys, our steaks are all done and ready to go here. We've got our platter that our cake is gonna get built on, and we're gonna start getting these stacked up so we can start putting our icing on them. So the first thing, we've got some really thick mashed potatoes here. So we're just gonna take some of these mashed potatoes and put them out flat here and just make a nice little thin layer, just something to stick those steaks down on top of. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and set our first two steaks down and get them centered up. All right, we have both of those centered up. They're pretty even, but obviously we're gonna go ahead and put a little layer of mashed potatoes in between those to kind of fill in all the gaps here. Let's get some mashed potatoes down between there. We're just gonna try to even out this top just a little bit here, just so it makes a little bit more even surface for that next steak to sit on top of. Now I wouldn't make this very thick because obviously if you do, you run the chance at them sagging onto one side, leaning real bad. So I just want to put enough to make the surface really level and to give something for that steak to kind of stick to and to fill in my gaps between these two bottom steaks. Just about like that right there, it looks perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and set our second steak on top. Now what I'm gonna do with this one, I'm gonna turn it 90 degrees to what the bottom steak was. That way it gives us a little bit better fit, because obviously the steak is longer, and with them sitting on top of these two steaks being side by side, it fits a little bit better. Now one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this little tail off of here. It's just gonna make it a little bit better presentation because it's not gonna have that sticking out on it, but that's not a huge deal. Let's go ahead and stick a little bit of potatoes on top of this. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and put our filet mignon on top of that. Just like so. And there is our 3-tier system. So now it's just getting some potatoes around this to kind of make our icing with. And we're gonna go ahead and do that up here. We're gonna go ahead and speed that up for you because it's gonna take a long time. We'll speed that up, but you know, we're just gonna basically make potatoes around this just like you do on a cake, make a little bit of an icing on it. It's gonna not be as square as possible because obviously we're using mashed potatoes, not icing. Just make it the best you can. It's still gonna taste great, and that's all that matters. So let's go ahead and start getting some potatoes on this. All right, now that we have the whole thing covered in mashed potatoes, it's time to give it its shape. So all we're gonna do is we're basically going to just smooth off some of the top here. And we're gonna come around our sides and we're just gonna start giving this a nice shape to it. And I know a lot of people who do a lot of baking and making cakes and stuff like that are probably screaming at me right now saying that's not the way you do it. With mashed potatoes, it's a little bit different story. This is about the best way I could figure out how to do it and make a nice shape while getting a good coverage. So maybe it's not the best way to do it. Maybe it's not the way you're supposed to do it with making a cake, but you know what? If it works, it works. So let's round that a little bit. Those down. All right, well, I'm no baker. That's why I got into the barbecue business, but I don't think it looks too bad for my first time ever doing a three-tiered icing cake. Thought it turned out pretty well. So let's go ahead and we'll start putting the finishing touches on this here in just a second. All right, guys, now we have our candied rose bacon here. So we're gonna put that on top of our cake, give it some nice looking little rose petals on here, and then we're just going to garnish it with just a little sprinkle of the barbecue rub to give it a little bit of color on these potatoes and a little bit of barbecue flavor. So I made a big one out of 2 pieces of bacon. That's obviously going to be the topper, so that's going to go right in our center here. And then these other ones are just a couple pieces of bacon. They're just 1 piece each, and we're just going to put these along the side somewhere, nowhere special. Just going to try to get these in here. I think we're gonna do maybe 3 on each level. Get these in here. Just like that. Put them on there like that. And then we'll take a little bit of our seasoning here and we'll just give it a light sprinkle over top just to give it a little bit of color. Just like that. And that's it, guys. We're all done. This thing looks just fantastic. It's the first time I've ever done this. It looks awesome. I really wish I could cut this open for you guys and give you a taste test, but this is actually for a friend of ours. He wanted this for his birthday, so I said, absolutely, we will make you a steak cake for your birthday. He's here right now. He's going to take this with him, so you guys won't get any video of us cutting it open. Maybe they'll get some pictures while they're cutting it open stuff, and I'll add that onto the video. So if there is, I'll cut some of those in here now. But, you know, it turned out fantastic. Maybe if you guys like, we'll make some more of these and we'll cut one open for you guys and taste it. Obviously, I'm assuming taste is steak and potatoes, but it's still really cool. It's something different. So if you have somebody in your life that's really into barbecue, this is something that you can make for them. It's not really hard. Obviously, the hardest part is making sure your potatoes are thick enough so that you can kind of mold them into shape. But other than that, it turned out really well. So, like I said, I think this is a home run hit. I hope you all appreciate what we did here today. You know, we did this for somebody's birthday, so, you know, wish him a happy birthday in the comments below as well. Make sure that you subscribe and make sure that you drop down and see our link for our Patreon account so you can help out our channel and help out our barbecue team. As always, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.